So, Elie Mystal went on The View. Elie Mystal is a legal author of some kind. He released a book recently. He's going on a book tour. And he went on The View to talk about how the Constitution is garbage. And this clip was making the rounds a little bit. He used the word trash. The Constitution is trash, and we should probably just fucking destroy that shit. And so I agree, as a professional hater of the Constitution of the United States of America. I think it's garbage. It's fake. It doesn't mean anything. Like, again, there's a 14th Amendment, and there's a third section of the 14th Amendment that says, if you give aid or comfort to those engaging in an insurrection, or you yourself engage in an insurrection, that you are banned from office. As we can see, the Republican Party and people like Madison Cawthorn and Lauren Boebert are still in office. So the Constitution doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It's fake. It doesn't mean anything. The only thing that matters is enforcement. The Constitution was obviously written by slave owners, right? They didn't give a fuck about what black people thought, right? They didn't give a fuck about what gay people thought. Were gay people even a thing? Like did people, I think they were still burning gay people at the stake, So, the Constitution, not the best document. And also, this country doesn't even really follow the Constitution. Almost everything that you see that the United States government does is unconstitutional. So anyway, I want to play this clip. It's about 3 minutes. And again, it's very cool that he's going on The View and trashing the Constitution because more people need to hear this.
Let's talk about your new book. It's called Allow Me to Retort, A Black Guy's Guide to the Constitution. Tell us about the book and why you wanted to write it.
Yeah, so what I'm trying to do with this book is explain in layman's terms what Republicans are doing to the law. Because I honestly believe that if everybody understood it, they'd be as outraged as I am about it, and they'd be willing to do something about it. Mm-hmm. Look, folks, the law is complicated. I'm not going to lie about that. But it's not beyond the reach of most literate people, all right? It's not sending a rocket to Mars and making it land just so it doesn't right? You can read. You can understand the laws that govern this country, and you can understand how Republicans are obviously trying to manipulate those laws to take away the rights of minorities, women, the LGBTQ community. You can see it all, and I try to explain it all in ways that people can understand so that we can fight them.
I have to tell you, I loved this book so very much. The first chapter, canceling trash people is not a constitutional crisis. Chapter 9, the taking of black land, was another favorite of mine, and reverse racism is not a thing. I just think it's fantastic.
So I live in Florida, so I'm like on ground zero of where all of this is happening. I'm out of my mind about the bills banning conversations about race and ethnicity and LGBTQ, just even mentioning gender identity in primary schools. But some will say, okay, so are you arguing for throwing out the Constitution? Should the Constitution be thrown out? What do we do? Is it a living document? Or is it a sacred document?
It's certainly not sacred, all right? Let's start there. The Constitution is kind of trash. Now, let's just talk as adults for a second.
What did you say? It's what?
It's kind of trash.
Trash.
It was written by slavers and colonists. And
so let's just be very clear here. Let me insert my opinion. If you think the Constitution is a sacred document, you are a religious nutbag. Let's be honest. Let's be real. Like, the Constitution is a piece of paper constructed by slave owners and freak shows. Like, they're crazy, dumb fuck motherfuckers, right? Like they had to immediately make a Bill of Rights because the Constitution was such garbage. They were like, oh fuck, we gotta amend this shit 10 times, like fucking a couple years later. They fucked up big on the Constitution, and it's had significant problems basically forever. And we can see that kind of more pronounced, even more so now. But again, I think it's great that Elie is going on The View to talk about how shit the Constitution is. It's garbage. It's shit on my shoes. But again, I love how it's framing here. Like, we gotta be adults. In the same way that I think the Bible is fucking stupid, and some people might be offended with this. I think the Constitution is fucking stupid. There are people that worship the Bible. There are people that worship the Constitution. Both of them are fucking nutbags, in my opinion. It's childish, and again, to use Elie's words, we need to act like adults. We're allowed to criticize the government. The Constitution itself says that there's a First Amendment, a right to free speech. The Constitution itself says that it should be amended. When's the last time we've even had a constitutional amendment in this country? It's not even possible anymore. Let's be honest. The way Republicans and their stranglehold on this government is working, there is no such thing as a constitutional amendment anymore. It's just never going to happen. It's never going to happen. right? So fuck the Constitution. Let's continue.
And white people who were willing to make deals with slavers and colonists. They didn't ask anybody who looked like me what they thought about the Constitution. They didn't say, oh, Jim, come over here. What do you think about this old Constitution? Well, massa, I sure don't like how you sell my children. But I gotta say, man, this King George, he needs to be stopped. My grandpappy used to say, ain't no taxation without representation for massa. Like, that's not what happened, right? This document was written without the consent of black and brown people in this country and without the consent of women in this country. And I say if that is the starting point, the very least we can do is ignore what those slavers and colonists and misogynists thought and interpret the Constitution in a way that makes sense for our modern world. That's the starting line.
Do you want to rewrite it?
I could, right? I could rewrite parts of it in a tweet, right? Like, how about popular election for the president? People vote, not land.
That's not even in there, is it?
I'm saying that's what I was writing.
So, again, the Constitution is garbage, right? Like, and it's not a sacred document. There are plenty of countries that had constitutions that got rid of them, ripped them up, like apartheid governments that had constitutions that had, like, you know, apartheid regimes, ripped up their constitution, started over. You know, we see, I believe that there was a big campaign in a lot of these South American countries that, you know, the United States has been meddling in, installing dictators and right-wing maniacs. And, you know, over the course of 30, 40 years, they eventually democratically rise up and get rid of those right-wing maniacs. And they just say, all right, the Constitution that these American-installed puppet weirdo losers is kind of garbage. So let's just throw away the whole thing and make a new one. You see this in countries like South Africa as well. Now, again, there's nothing sacred about a country's constitution, especially not the United States' constitution. It is particularly egregious. You know, people love to say that the U.S. is like the oldest democracy. I mean, citation needed. Have we ever been a democracy? Let's be honest. Have we ever been a democracy? I would like the United States to be a democracy. So, if we want to take the mantle of oldest democracy, we're going to have to start that now. We're going to have to start that counter now because we're still not a democracy. We've never been a democracy. And the main reason is because of this shit-ass fucking Constitution.
If I was rewriting it, we could do it in a tweet, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Term limits for Supreme Court justices. And how about no states' rights when it comes to health care, elections, policing, and guns?
Right.
It's just better. That's just better, and you can do that in a tweet.
Can't the amendments help some of that?
Well, here's the problem with the amendment process.
Really fast now, I got 20 seconds.
The problem with the amendment process is that in American history, there have been 115 people allowed to interpret what the amendments mean. 108 of them have been white.
Okay.
That's a problem.
Well, you are certainly a compelling guest. I must say.
So there you go. Elie Mystal on The View, shitting on the Constitution. You love to see it, folks, so definitely go follow them on Twitter because they post some bangers for sure very often. So, and I might have to pick up that book because, you know, anyone that criticizes the Constitution and refers to it as trash is, you know, again, that's A-team right there. But yeah, Constitution is not sacred. If you think so, you're a religious nutbag and you're a freak and a weirdo. Anyone that thinks the Constitution is sacred, probably a white person or they haven't thought about it before. You know, it's possible you just never thought about it before. But you know, good clip.